This monkey playing Monkey Ball made me wonder, what happened to Monkey Ball? The Super Monkey Ball games are arcade games published by Sega, where you play as a monkey trapped inside of a gachapon ball and try to complete increasingly harder levels. These games have a cult following and have seen releases as far back as 2001 with the first entry of the series, Monkey Ball. Instead of controlling the character, you tilt the world entirely to make your monkey roll around, where you then collect bananas to gain lives and bonus points and try to reach the goal before time runs out. The current state of Monkey Ball is best described as desolate but hopeful. After a long hiatus spanning after the release of 2014's abysmal Super Monkey Ball Bounce, we were gifted with Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD in 2019. Since 2014, Sega has only released 2 entries, the aforementioned Banana Blitz and then 2 years later in 2021, Banana Mania. Banana Blitz HD being a remake of an older title, and then Banana Mania shocking everyone by being a sort of love letter to the games of old. Sega has performed a masterclass of killing off a franchise loved by so many. After hitting a home run with the first 2 titles, the fall-off Monkey Ball is seen as monumental, but the release of Banana Mania is proof that there's still some gas left in the tank. However, it's unknown if Sega will follow up with another well-received entry. After all, it's been 2 years since Mania. Over the years, Super Monkey Ball has seen quite a few different gimmicks when it comes to the level design. After 21 releases into this franchise, there's bound to be some good and some bad stage designs that have made it into the final cut of the games. To start, there are levels featuring challenges where you have to jump, which can throw off the camera view and make what's seemingly an easy task way more difficult. Don't forget to time your move either unless you're willing to start over, because if you get knocked off stage by an object moving ridiculously fast, it'll upset you just a little bit. If you're fond of puzzles, you'll get your fair share while playing, and these puzzles even extend into mazes. Some of these puzzles and challenges involved in the levels are fun, while some are just downright awful.
Whose toes are those? Who's that great ape right there?
You're not limited to just playing the maps pre-packaged with the game though. There's a huge community of modders that make map packs and ROM hacks for you to play, and they all have their own style and gimmicks. Some are even notoriously hard to the point where it's a true accomplishment if you're able to beat them. The mapping community is a big reason why Super Monkey Ball still has an active community. Games don't really get released anymore, and when they do, they've been consistently underwhelming. There's very few ways to keep a franchise alive when its developer doesn't care and the best titles in the series are 2 decades old. So you have to admire the map creators who continue to put out quality content for the fans.
Whose toes are those? Who's that great ape right there?
Why has Sega neglected the series so much over the past 2 decades? Why would they allow one of their most beloved series outside of Sonic to continually get worse and worse while just sitting back and watching it crash and burn? Well, it didn't start that way. In 2001, Monkey Ball, the arcade game, released, followed up only a few months later by Super Monkey Ball for the GameCube. Less than a year later, they were back with Super Monkey Ball 2, which was followed closely by Super Monkey Ball Jr. In about a year and a half, 4 titles had released. Over the next 11 years, 15 games were released under the Monkey Ball umbrella, spanning across 23 different platforms. When 2014 hit, the release of Super Monkey Ball Bounce hit with it, and it was clear they were running out of ideas and ways to progress the franchise forward. They strayed from the path and released a cheap Peggle clone to crown the series' declining reviews, and then silence. An abnormal silence followed. This franchise had seen 1 to 3 releases every year to year and a half for over a decade at that point, and then it was over. They forced themselves into neglecting the IP as they had exhausted it.
5 years later.
After a quiet 5 years though, we saw the release of Banana Blitz HD. A remake that was an attempt at bringing it back by using a title they'd already released, but moving it forward with newer technology and systems. This effort got some eyes back on the title and was enough to bring players back. Then, Banana Mania released, shocking everyone by being a sort of love letter to the games of old. It received mixed reviews, with actual critics not caring much for it, but the actual community welcomed it with open arms. It's since been 2 years already from Mania's release, and we can only hope that Sega not only quits neglecting the series, but is able to advance it forward with better releases without exhausting all of their ideas by releasing too frequently.
Whose toes are those? Who's that great ape right there?
Super Monkey Ball will forever be cemented in gaming history for how strong of a start the franchise had, as well as the longevity it's seen. Even with its decline in quality and popularity, these games will always be in the good graces of a lot of people. Unfortunately, after the first 2 games, a majority of the community believes that the series took such a nosedive in quality that they don't even acknowledge the existence of many of the entries. But why is this? Why does the game's fanbase refuse to acknowledge years and years worth of games? Well, because of the changes in direction that Sega took with these games. A changing art style led the charge, and over time it started to feel soulless. Super Monkey Ball has fallen. It's fallen from being one of the more unique games of the early 2000s and has a tarnished legacy, as it eventually turned into a cheap Peggle clone and a low-effort remake to soak up the last amount of money it could squeeze from the fans still willing to try it. Nowadays, the players who have stuck around come and go, but there are lovable qualities about these games. Some content creators have made series where they play the games as a competition and
words in the title, world's hardest video game. Me, malding.
Overall, they do have a lot of replayability in terms of improving your times and trying not to die. In a game franchise that's all but dead due to the lack of care and support from its creators, truly is a wonder that 2 decades from its initial release, people still talk and want better for a series that's only seen 2 releases since 2014. A mixture of no direction and watering down the series with pointless titles and completely straying away from the games that gave it an audience at times have caused the downfall of Super Monkey Ball. It really is sad what's happened to these games over time. With the release of Banana Mania catering to the qualities that made these games so popular in the first place, we can only hope that Sega will put out more games in the future that trend back into what made so many fall in love with a monkey that rolls around a floating world. Thank you for watching.